Hey, and in this video, I just thought we'd piggyback off an episode of The Walking Dead and talk about the ethical implications that they raised in the show and use that to kind of bring up how the Bible would inform if you were there, in the episode, and as a Christian, what would you do? What is the right thing to do according to the Bible? And in fact, I brought this up in a small group one time with a group of teenage boys and girls, and one of the girls just said that the Bible wasn't relevant to any situation in The Walking Dead because she said that that's a survival situation. So it didn't. You don't bring God into that, which I thought was fairly humorous. We're always in a survival situation. I'm trying to survive, and we always are doing things to help us survive. But I don't know, not important. Now, I have found the show The Walking Dead to be boring since it first came on. It was just kind of lame, and probably has to do with the fact that I've watched way too many zombie movies before that. I'd gone through like a few years of me and my friends like renting 2 horror movies every single Friday night, and like we would go to Blockbuster back in those days, and walk through and like boom, 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 we get 2, and if we were really crazy, we'd come home with 3. And there was like a special week that we had once a month, or it was less than once a month, but that would be the night that I got to pick a movie, and I would always pick something else, something that wasn't horror, because there was so many horror movies. So I was kind of over zombie movies, over vampires, over crazy families turning you into chili and monsters coming from the lake. I was like, I'm tired of this. I don't want to see Freddy anymore. Hellraiser's the worst. These movies are so bad, and but then it's like just a whole TV show of nothing but zombies, and then but the show seems like it's kind of boring. I made it to the first 2 episodes, and I was like, oh, this show sucks. It was just kind of boring, and I think, the criticisms that are largely made of it seem to be kind of true, that, it is boring. It's like a TV show, supposedly what they say is there's, a whole season of really boring episodes of people walking around, and then, the last 2 episodes every season are really good. And then the rest of it is the real Walking Dead are the characters on the shows, because they're just they don't say anything, they don't do anything, there's no music playing, they're just walking around. Just long shots of them walking around, just walking. The characters on the show just walking. And the zombies are the people who watch the show. Anyway, I don't know. Can't say for sure about that. But what I can say is in this episode, I don't know what season it is, but the crew or whoever they are, the group of people, they're on some sort of farm, and I don't know, the farm it didn't look like much of a farm, but I don't know how they cut all that grass. Anyway, that's not important. Some person shows up and they don't know what to do with him because they don't know who he is, and so they lock him up because they're afraid that as soon as they let him go, he's going to go get his buddies or his crew, and they're going to come back and attack and kill all of them. And so they have a debate about the ethics of whether or not you should do that. And essentially, what this is an example of what in ethical philosophy and moral philosophy or ethics is called a thought experiment. So the TV show is not real, but it's a thought experiment. What is the right thing to do in this situation? Given the situation, you don't know this person at all. There's no trust built with this person. There's no relationship built with this person. Do you trust this person, or do you just kill this person, or do you Guantanamo Bay him and lock him up indefinitely? Okay, and so there's one guy in there who says, he's some old guy. He says, no, you don't lock people up because unless they've done something wrong. You don't or more or less execute people who haven't actually done anything wrong. All right, and then everyone else on the show wants to do it. Why do they want to do it? All right, fear. Because they're afraid. They're afraid of what might happen. And so, in other words, it is wrong to kill people unless you have hard evidence that they've committed some sort of crime against society, right? And we won't go into the jurisprudence of why or whether or not you agree with the death penalty or not. But assuming that you do, it would at least be wrong to kill people who haven't committed any crimes. And if you don't have any evidence that they committed any crimes, then you don't kill them, just because they might commit a crime. That would include everyone, right? So utilitarianism would say the ends justify the means. In other words, in the case of this person, we don't know enough about this person, and we could all wind up dead if his group comes back with all kinds of weapons and kills us. So we're going to do this evil deed in order that, more good may happen. So if you don't like that thought experiment, a different one might be, let's say you're a doctor and you've got a patient who's like 20, but he's got like a brain problem, like a clot in his brain. He's only going to live like a year, but he's got like 5 good organs. And then there's 5 other 20-year-olds who could each take one of those organs and live till they're 80. So do you kill him because, let's say they're all going to die in, 3 months. So do you kill him before his year's out, the first guy, so that you can harvest his organs and save these other people? Do their years, their combined 80 years each, so that's like 60 years more each since they're all 20, so that's like 4 times 60, that's 240 years combined versus his 1 year. Which is, so utilitarianism would say, well, you definitely, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. You do evil deeds to create a better outcome overall. That's utilitarian thought. And from a Christian perspective, utilitarian thought makes no sense, because ultimately there is a God looking out for us. There's a God who exists, knows everything, is all-powerful, and controls everything. So what that means is, it makes no sense to do something wrong so that good may result. You don't have to violate, the right thing to do. So in other words, yeah, I'm going to do good things so that good may result, but I would never do wrong. I would never take things into my own hand. So if I'm ever in a situation where the only way I can make sure something good happens is to do something evil, well, I know that this good God would never want me to do that. So whatever his plan is, whatever he wants to happen, it's not going to involve me doing something wrong. So if something bad still happens, well, all I can say is he had some sort of plan behind that, Well, I wouldn't know what it is, but of course he has a plan behind that. It's actually an everyday life situation. As much as this girl wanted to say that it was a survival situation just on The Walking Dead, it's an everyday life situation, As a self-employed landscaper, I do a lot of work for widows and a lot of little old ladies and just a lot of people who have lake houses, who, or rental homes and stuff. They wouldn't know if I didn't do everything every time the way that they wanted. And I could get away with doing a shoddy job some of the time, and they wouldn't catch me. Okay? And then I would make more money. So, I mean, when I'm struggling, to get my rent paid or something like that, when I'm struggling for money, it would make sense for me maybe to cut corners a little bit and betray my customers and not do what they're paying me to do, And then I could, the ends justify the means. That's utilitarian thought. That's just an example. But as a Christian, I trust that God's looking out for me and that his plan for my life is good, even though if I don't understand it. So, and that I would never violate, what's right. And what's right is if someone pays me for something, they get, I don't violate the trust of the agreement that I made with them. I do honest work for an honest price and trust that put it in God's hands. I seek first his kingdom and his righteousness and trust that all these things will be added to me as well. Or as the verse says, do not set your heart on what you will eat or drink. Do not worry about it. For the pagan world runs after all such things. If I'm all worried about it, then I'm going to start betraying people. In little ways, whatever I can get away with. But your heavenly Father knows that you need these things. Seek his kingdom, and all these things will be given to you as well. And that is Luke chapter 12, verse 29 and through 31. So, back to The Walking Dead. If there is no God, then it's just us. And there's no one else.